Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into something that's really transforming the world. It's artificial intelligence in education. And we've got this really cool chapter. It's called AI in Education, the Learning Revolution.
Oh, wow. That title
It does.
sounds very.
It does, it does. And it really is. It's living up to that name.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, this chapter paints a future where AI has totally changed education.
Mm.
Like, not just like little tweaks, but like a complete transformation. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, AI is neat and all, but like, how does this affect me?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you. Whether you're someone who's always trying to keep up with all the latest and greatest things happening in your field, or maybe you're just curious about how this technology is reshaping the world as we know it, this deep dive is for you.
Yeah. You know what's really cool is that we're not just talking about some new gadgets in a classroom or
Yeah.
a new software program. We're really talking about something that's on the verge of completely changing what learning and teaching even mean, personalizing things,
Yeah.
making it more efficient, and ultimately helping people reach their full potential. Like that's,
Oh, for sure. I love that idea. Education that's actually tailored to each person.
yeah.
Like, wow. But okay, before we go totally down that road, can we talk a bit about like why this transformation is even necessary? What's wrong with how we do things now?
Right. Well, think about just how much the world has changed even in the last few years. I mean, the amount of information that's out there, it's exploding. The skills people need to succeed
Hmm.
are always changing. And the aid ways of teaching, the traditional education models, they were built for a different time. They're just not keeping up.
Oh, I totally get that. So it's kind of like we're trying to
Yeah.
put a square peg in a round hole,
Right.
trying to make these old methods work in this world that's changing so fast.
Exactly. And that's where this AI comes in. It's offering this new way to bridge that gap and create learning that is truly personalized
Right.
and adaptive
Yeah.
and actually relevant to all the stuff that we're facing in this 21st century.
That makes total sense. So I think before we get too far into the ways that AI is changing things, I want to like take a step back
Yeah.
and make sure I understand the technology behind it. Like, what are some of the key concepts that we should really like have a good grasp on?
Okay, so one of the fundamental technologies here, it's intelligent tutoring systems. They call them ITS.
Go on.
Think of it kind of like having a tutor who's available all the time,
Okay.
24/7. These systems, they use really complicated algorithms to basically create a learning experience that is just for you.
Wow.
So they can like figure out what you understand and adjust how hard things are and even predict where you might have trouble.
That's amazing. So it's not just about getting the right answer, but like actually
Yeah.
understanding what's going on so that you can really learn the material well. Like, this could really change the game
Yeah.
for all kinds of learners.
Oh, absolutely. And one of the things that is so great about ITSIS is that it lets you learn at your own speed.
Oh, I love that.
You don't feel rushed or like you're behind. You can take the time to really get something before moving on. And that leads to much deeper understanding.
That's so true. I know I've struggled with that in the past.
Yeah.
Feeling like I'm constantly trying to keep up with everyone else, even when I don't quite get something. So are there any real-world examples
Yeah.
of how this ITS is being used right now?
Yeah, absolutely. There's Carnegie Learning. They have this really impressive AI math tutor. It actually adjusts to how a student answers in real time.
Well, in real time.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So you never get stuck. If you're having trouble, the system immediately figures out what you're doing wrong and gives you the help that you need right when you need it.
That's like having a tutor who can read your mind. It's amazing to see how AI is being used to make learning more personal and effective. And another key technology that's transforming education is natural language processing, or NLP. It's what allows AI systems to understand and process human language, which just opens up a whole world of possibilities. For learning and communication, I've heard of NLP, but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on the specifics. Can you explain a little bit more about how it actually works and why it's so important for education?
Sure. NLP, it's basically what lets AI understand and respond to questions, analyze your writing, even generate text. That sounds like a human wrote it.
Okay, so it's what makes chatbots and virtual assistants.
Yeah.
Seems so smart.
Right.
But how is NLP being used in education specifically?
Well, think about how much time teachers spend grading essays. NLP can do a lot of that automatically.
Really?
Yeah, which means students can get feedback on their writing faster, and teachers have more time to focus on other things.
Oh, that's a huge benefit for both students and teachers, for sure. It allows for personalized feedback and creates more time for teachers to work directly with students. So I'm guessing Tools like Grammarly and Gradescope or using
Yes.
NLP to do what
Yes,
they do?
exactly. Those are really good examples of how NLP is already being used in education to improve writing and
Yeah.
make learning more efficient.
That's really interesting. AI is clearly making a big difference in how we learn and teach. And I'm curious to see more concrete examples of how these technologies are being used in the real world.
Well, one area where we see lots of exciting new stuff is the development of these interactive AI tools that are made specifically for learners, like our listeners out there. And these
Okay.
tools are designed to make learning more engaging and effective and make sure that it's available to everyone.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What kind of tools should our listeners
Yeah.
know about?
Well, one of the coolest ones is ChatGPT for education. Imagine having access to this huge library of knowledge, and you have this personal tutor who can answer your questions and explain things and even generate creative content, all right there at your fingertips.
That sounds incredible. It's like having a learning buddy who's there for you whenever you need them.
What are some other examples of AI tools that are transforming learning?
Well, another one is Duolingo. It's a really popular language learning app. They've started using AI to personalize how you learn and adjust how hard it is as you go, and even give you feedback on how you pronounce things.
I've heard good things about Duolingo. It's amazing how AI is making language learning more accessible and fun.
Totally.
And it's not just about learning languages or academic subjects. AI can also help us develop essential skills that are helpful in any field, like writing and communication. Tell me more about that. I know a lot of our listeners, myself included, are always looking for ways to improve our writing. What kind of AI tools are out there to help with that? Well, you mentioned Grammarly earlier, which is great, for catching errors and improving clarity. But it goes way beyond just basic grammar and spell checking. It actually analyzes the context of what you're writing and suggests ways to improve your style.
I love Grammarly. It's seriously helped me become a better writer. What other AI writing tools would you recommend?
There's the Hemingway editor. It helps you simplify your writing to make it more powerful. It helps you cut out unnecessary words, get straight to the point, and write more clearly and precisely.
That's definitely something I could use. I tend to overthink my writing sometimes. So having an AI assistant to help me simplify things would be super helpful. It's amazing to see how AI is helping both learners and educators. But I also want to know more about how AI is changing the role of teachers in the classroom.
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's important to remember that. AI isn't supposed to replace teachers. It's about giving them better tools and resources so that they can be even more effective.
Okay, so it's about giving teachers superpowers.
Mhm.
I love it. And I want to hear more about that. But I think this is the perfect place to stop for now. When we come back, we'll explore how AI is changing, the way teachers plan their lessons, assess learning, and create truly personalized educational experiences. So stay tuned.
Yeah, it really is about helping teachers do what they do best.
Right.
AI can take care of all those time-consuming tasks like grading quizzes and even giving feedback on essays, which frees up teachers to focus on the things that really matter, like inspiring students and mentoring them and building those relationships.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's like we're using technology to actually make education more human, not less. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to learn more about how AI is changing the way teachers work. Like, what are some specific examples?
Well, one area where AI is making a big difference is in lesson planning. AI-powered platforms can look at student data and figure out where there are learning gaps, and then suggest content that would be helpful. Imagine having an assistant that could find the perfect resources for every lesson just for your students.
Oh, that would be so helpful. It would save teachers so much time and make sure that what they're teaching is actually relevant and engaging for their students. It's like having a personalized lesson plan generator. That takes all the guesswork out of it.
Are there any specific tools or platforms that you think teachers should know about?
Yeah, there's one called Lesson Up that I find really interesting. It uses AI to help teachers create these interactive lessons with videos, quizzes, and activities that students can do together. It's a good example of how AI can make learning more dynamic and fun. That sounds amazing. I can see how a tool like that would make it so much easier for teachers to create lessons that really grab their students' attention and get them excited about learning. It's like having a co-pilot for lesson planning, helping teachers navigate all the complexities of designing a curriculum and delivering a really personalized learning experience. So, what about assessment? How is AI changing the way teachers figure out what their students have learned?
Oh, that's another area where we're seeing some really cool developments. Remember those automated evaluation tools we talked about earlier, like Turnitin and Gradescope?
Yeah.
Well, Teachers are using those too. Make
Mm.
grading faster, give students more detailed feedback, and even identify areas where students might need extra help.
So instead of spending hours and hours grading papers, teachers can use AI to get a quick snapshot of how their students are doing, and then focus their energy on giving individual support. That's a win-win for everyone.
Exactly. And AI can do even more than that. It can analyze all that student data and find patterns that we might not even notice. That's where predictive analytics comes in.
I've heard that term before, but I'm not really sure what it means. Can you break it down for me? Like, how does it work, and why is it so important for education?
Sure. So, predictive analytics. It's kind of like having a fitness tracker, but for your learning.
Okay.
It gives you all these insights into how you're progressing and where you might need to focus. In education, AI can analyze how students are performing
Yeah.
and actually predict which students might struggle. And it can alert teachers so they can step in early and give those students the support they need.
Wow, that's amazing. It's like having a crystal ball that can help us identify students who are at risk of falling behind
It really is.
and guide them towards success.
Exactly.
It's a much more proactive way to approach education.
It is. It's about using data to make smarter decisions and create a learning environment that's supportive and personalized for every student.
I love it. It's clear that AI is already having
Yeah.
a huge impact on education. But I'm also curious about the bigger picture. How is AI going to shape the future of learning? What are some of the long-term things we need to think about?
That's a great question, and it's one that a lot of people are trying to figure out right now. One thing's for sure, AI is going to keep changing how we learn and how we work, so we need to be really smart about how we use it and make sure we're using it for good. One thing that could happen is that we see a shift towards lifelong learning,
Oh, okay.
where people are constantly updating their skills and learning new things to keep up with how fast the world is changing.
That makes sense. In a world where things are changing so quickly, being able to learn new things is going to be more important than ever. So how can AI help us get ready for that future of lifelong learning?
Well, one way is that AI can make learning easier to access and more convenient. Imagine being able to access personalized learning experiences that are tailored to your interests and goals, available whenever you need them.
That's a really exciting idea.
Yeah.
It would remove a lot of the things that stop people from pursuing lifelong learning,
Yeah.
like not having enough time or money, or not being able to find the right resources. It would create a world where everyone has a chance to keep learning and growing throughout their lives.
Exactly. And AI can also help us personalize learning in ways that were never possible before. Imagine having this AI-powered learning companion that can track your progress and suggest resources and even connect you with other learners who have the same interests.
Wow, that would be incredible. It's like having a personal coach for your learning journey. It's really inspiring to think about all the possibilities, but like with any powerful technology, there are also potential downsides that we need to be careful about.
You're absolutely right. One of the biggest concerns is that AI could actually widen the gap between those who have access to technology and those who don't.
Oh, I see.
We need to make sure that AI tools and resources
Hmm.
are available to everyone, no matter their background or where they live.
That's really important. We don't want to create a world where only a select few benefit from AI in education. We need to make sure it's being used to make things more fair, not less fair.
Exactly. And we also need to be careful that AI isn't used in a way that makes people less able to think critically or make decisions for themselves. We need to use AI to empower learners, not control them.
So it's about finding that balance between human intelligence and artificial intelligence.
Right.
We need to use AI in a way that encourages human connection and creativity
Yeah.
and helps people develop those critical thinking skills.
Yes. And we need to be aware of the potential for bias
Yeah.
in the algorithms that power AI. If those algorithms are trained on data that's already biased, it can make those biases even worse. We need to be really careful and make sure that AI systems are fair and equitable for all learners.
That's a really good point. We need to look closely at the data that's being used to train these algorithms and make sure it's diverse and representative of all students. We don't want to create AI systems that discriminate against certain groups. But it's not just about the technology itself. It's also about how we use it. What role do educators play in shaping the future of AI in education?
Educators are incredibly important. They need to be leading the way and making sure that AI is used responsibly and ethically, and making sure it's being used to enhance, not replace, the things that make human teachers so valuable.
Yes, absolutely. Teachers play such a crucial role in guiding students and encouraging them to think critically and fostering a love of learning Those are things machines can't do.
Yeah.
But it's clear that AI is going to have a big impact on the teaching profession.
Mm.
How can teachers prepare themselves for this new world of AI in education?
One of the most important things is to stay up to date on what's happening with AI and how it's being used in education. There are lots of resources online and through professional development programs.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's about staying curious and being willing to learn new things. The world of AI is constantly changing, so teachers need to be lifelong learners themselves to keep up with the pace of change.
Exactly. And it's also important to experiment with different AI tools to see what works best for them and their students. There are so many great resources out there. Many of them are free or very affordable.
That's great advice. It's all about finding the right tools for the job and using them in a way that makes sense for your classroom. But even though AI has all this potential, I think we also need to acknowledge that there are still a lot of challenges and unanswered questions.
No, absolutely. AI in education is still in its early stages, and there's a lot to figure out. One of the biggest challenges is making sure that AI systems are designed and used in a way that's ethical, fair, and benefits all learners.
Yes, that's so important. We need to be aware of the potential risks and make sure we're using AI responsibly and thoughtfully. But I also think it's important to remember that AI is just a tool, and it's up to us to decide how we use it.
I couldn't agree more.
We have this incredible opportunity to shape the future of AI in education and make sure it's something that serves humanity, not the other way around.
Well said.
And on that note,
Yeah.
I think it's time to take a closer look at some of the real-world examples of AI in education. When we come back, we'll dive into some specific tools and platforms that are transforming how we learn and teach. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before the break, we were talking about all the cool things AI can do in education. So let's get into some real-world examples.
Yeah, let's dive into that. One of the most exciting areas is intelligent tutoring systems. You know those personalized AI tutors we were talking about?
Right, those are really cool.
Well, they're not just some futuristic idea anymore. They're here.
But wow, so what's out there? You mentioned the AI math tutor from Carnegie Learning.
Yeah, and there's Khan Academy. They're a nonprofit, do all these free online courses, and they've got Conmigo.
Conmigo, okay.
It's an AI math tutor, gives you hints, explanations, all personalized to what the student needs.
That sounds like a game changer,
Uh,
especially for math.
yeah, a lot of people struggle with math.
Right. It can be tough.
And what's great about these AI tutors is they're so patient. They can explain something over and over again in different ways until the student gets it. No human tutor could ever do that.
That's so true. I mean, everyone learns differently and at their own pace. It makes learning so much more accessible. Okay, so we've seen AI help with things like math. What about other subjects, like learning languages?
AI is changing the game there too. Think about Duolingo, the app we talked about.
Yeah,
It uses AI to make lessons just for you, change how hard it is, even tells you if you're pronouncing things right.
that's so helpful, especially for people who might be shy about trying to speak a new language.
For sure. And if you want something even more like real life, there's VR platforms, virtual reality, and they use AI to create these conversations. Like, imagine learning Spanish while you're in a virtual cafe in Barcelona.
Whoa, that's wild. It sounds so immersive. So we see AI being used in different subjects, but what about skills that are important no matter what you do? Like thinking critically or how to solve problems.
That's where AI comes into. Some platforms can actually create these simulations, like a fake work environment, where you can practice solving real-world problems, make decisions when things are complicated.
It's like a flight simulator, but for life.
Yeah.
That's such a great way to learn because you can make mistakes without any real consequences.
Exactly. And the AI can give you feedback, guide you along, and even make the challenges harder or easier as you go.
So cool. It seems like AI is changing the whole learning experience. It's more engaging and personalized. But I want to go back to the teachers for a minute. How can they use all of this to really help their students?
Teachers are such a big part of this. They need to keep learning about AI and how to use it. There are lots of programs out there that can help.
So it's all about teachers becoming learners too. That's
Mhm.
great. Anything else teachers can do?
Try things out. See what works. There are so many AI tools, a lot of them free, that can personalize learning, make grading easier, and just make classes more exciting.
That's awesome. But we can't forget that AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used in good ways and not so good ways.
Mhm.
What are some of the things we need to watch out for?
We got to be careful about bias. Those algorithms, they learn from data. If that data is biased, then the AI can be biased too. That wouldn't be fair for some students.
That's a really good point. We need to make sure the data is good and represents all kinds of students. We don't want AI to make things less equal.
Absolutely. And like we've been saying all along, AI should be helping teachers, not replacing them. It can handle some tasks, personalize stuff, but it's the teachers who really connect with students, guide them, inspire them.
Couldn't agree more. It's about finding that balance between what humans do best and what AI can do best.
Exactly. And it's always evolving, AI. We got to keep asking tough questions, talking about it, working together. So AI in education benefits everybody.
That's a perfect way to sum it up. So it looks like AI could change education in amazing ways, but we have to be smart about it and think about everyone.
I think so too. If we do that, we can use AI to make learning better, more engaging, and more fair for everyone.
And that, my friends, wraps up our deep dive into AI in education. We hope you learned something new and exciting. Until next time, keep those brains working and keep diving deep